So yesterday, Jerome Powell decided that he was not going to cut interest rates because he felt like the US economy is still in a good position. Therefore, interest rate cuts would not make sense to him. And I kind of understand why he would say that, because everything is actually really up. Precious metals, crypto, new all-time highs. So I kind of understand. In the last video that I made, I was speculating on a bullish side, and right now I'm not so bullish on crypto, and I'm going to explain why in today's video. So today I'm going to be starting my analysis by looking at the dollar index to see how the US dollar is playing out. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe, share, and do all that necessary stuff that you do to help push this video to meet more people. I would also be looking at Bitcoin, of course, obviously, but let's start with the US dollar index. All right, so for this US dollar index, this is the monthly time frame. On the monthly time frame is where there is a lot of information, and it looks pretty interesting here. There is arguments for both the upside and the downside in regards to this dollar index. But a monthly time frame setup will probably take months to play out. It could even take up to a year to finally play out. So that's something to keep in mind. However, looking at this here, we are looking at this US dollar index to be in a channel, right? We can call this a rising channel or ascending channel, whatever it is that you want to call it, but it's a channel that is rising to the upside, and we are having a resistance here, and then a support in this area here. And that is basically what is going on here. I'm not making this stuff up. You can see it, right? So with that being said, we can actually conclude that we are finding support in this area here, right? And the thing about this US dollar index is that whenever this is bearish, corresponding assets like stocks and crypto and precious metals, assets like that will likely go up. That's risk on assets are likely going to go higher in price, because it basically means that people are selling their dollars to buy these things, and that's why the dollar is dropping. I don't know if that makes sense. So if right now we are sitting at a support level on this dollar index, it means that prices are likely going to go up. So we could have a movement like this, right? We could have prices move like this to the upside in order to tap into this channel. And it will be interesting, because if the market moves like this on the DXY, like I just explained, it means that risk on assets are going to drop, and if we even look at some of these indicators that I always like to use, which is something like the stochastic RSI, you can see that we are fast approaching oversold territories, and the momentum on the bearish side is actually reducing. So we have tendencies to see a bounce here on the monthly time frame, and this is probably what could lead to the bear market, in my opinion. But this is the monthly time frame. Like I said, it's going to take months to play out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, even a year to play out. So that's not something that you want to rush into, but at the end of the day, it's just something that I want you to have at the back of your mind. Just think about it. Now, because of things like this is the reason why I'm not all that bullish on crypto right now. As a matter of fact, I'm a little bit bearish, and I'll share more information on that shortly. And if we go to something like the 1 week time frame for the same dollar index, we are actually finding supports in this area as well. Look at the stochastic RSI here. We are having a perfect bounce here with a bullish divergence on the dollar index, right? We're having a bullish divergence. We have this stochastic RSI having higher lows, a low here, higher low here. That's a bullish trend in play. And then we have this here, a low and a lower low, right, on price action. So something like this is actually indicating that the dollar index could be seeing some upside, right? And something like this is not something that you want to be ignoring, because it's literally playing out in front of you, and you don't want to be taking things like this for granted, which is why, again, I'm not too bullish on crypto right now. The crazy part about this situation here is that we have confirmation on both the MACD and the stochastic RSI, and situations like this usually makes me much more confident that we may have a little bit of an upside for price action on the weekly time frame, and you know that the higher time frame usually affects the smaller time frame. So in my opinion, that's something worth paying attention to. If you look at this place here, you see we had this move here right when we were low, and then we had this situation here, and look at what happened. Prices went up. This may not look like it's a lot, but the effect of this was actually downside on crypto and other risk on assets. There was some downside on some consolidation as well. And we can even say that one of the reasons the effect wasn't so drastic was because we were not at a support level, you know, to act as a confluence on this. But right now, it's kind of different because we are at a support level on this channel. If we go somewhere like this here, this was 2021. And if you guys remember 2021 very well, you know that that was the peak of the last bull run. The peak was actually in two phases. We had one in around April time, and then we had another in Q4. And if you look at this chart here, where the US dollar index started to find support, we have one. The first one here was in January, then we had the second one here in June. So in all of this period here, in 2021, the dollar index was starting to find support, basically. And immediately this rallied up. 2022, you guys know the entirety of 2022 was a bear market, literally. Look at all of this period here, bear market. So I just think that this is something worth paying attention to, and in my opinion, you know, this may not necessarily be the best time to buy. You can see how this rallied all the way to this top here, and this was in September, October, November of 2022, right at the resistance. And then this was literally the beginning of the bull run in risk on assets like crypto, and all the way down back to this place. We are having support here. So literally a lot of people think that the bull run started, that the bull run is about to start, or the bull run started early this year or something like that. So no, the bull run started since December of 2022. I'll always keep repeating this for us. I'll always keep repeating this so that it sinks in, because you need to know these things. If you get into the market late, the market does not care. You get kicked out. It's normal, and nothing is going to happen. You understand me? So I want to go to the S&P 500 as well. Let's look at the S&P 500. Yeah, this was what I saw today, and it's just pretty interesting to see on the S&P, because we had this major drop, right? And we are starting to find resistance on this same supply area here on the S&P 500, which is actually an indication that the bullish momentum is slowing down. But you see, the thing about this S&P 500 is that it's pretty much crazy. Look at this. Look at this. After this drop, we rally straight up, clearing every benefit of doubts that you might have had that the market was going to drop, you know. So that's pretty interesting. And also on the MACD, we haven't really gotten high enough to consider a huge rejection. So that's pretty interesting to see. There's a lot of confusion in this market at this point, but we will survive. So let's go to crypto. Let's go to Bitcoin. So on Bitcoin is actually acting somewhat like the S&P 500. You can see very clearly that just the same thing that I've been talking about for a while now. If you follow me on TikTok, you should check that out. If you don't follow me on TikTok, then you probably should. But I talked about this a while ago, while this candlestick here, this red candlestick, this last one here was green, and now it's red. And I was just, the entire idea was just that we had a bearish engulfing. I don't know if you can see this clearly. We had a bearish engulfing here, and we've not been able to break above the bearish engulfing. And you know, the crazy thing about this bearish engulfing is that if you just go to the back, like if you move left on your charts, you will see that this bearish engulfing has happened a couple of times, and each time it's bad. Look at this here, bearish engulfing, we never broke above it. Can you see? We never broke above this body. Look at it here again. We also had another bearish engulfing, and we never ever broke above it again until prices dropped, you know. So it's a sign of weakness in the market. You cannot ignore it. All right, it's a sign of weakness in the market. And us having a bearish engulfing here and us not being able to break above it, after 3 weeks is a huge concern in a bullish market after a rally. Come on. I don't think, you know what, I don't even want to be convincing you. I'm just telling you what my analysis is. You can choose to ignore it, because a couple of folks on TikTok are upset that I'm bearish. I don't know why you'll be upset that I'm bearish. It's crazy to me. It's my opinion, you know. I believe that everybody in this market, or everyone who follows me anyway, knows that everything that I put out here is simply just my opinion, and you can, and it's entirely up to you to choose to listen to me or not. And you can actually disagree with some of the things that I say. I don't control the markets. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm just telling you what I'm saying, basically. So that's just something I have to put out there. This is my analysis. I'm not convincing you, right? But I'm just showing you that you know, these are crazy things to watch out for. So if we look at this stochastic RSI as well, we still haven't broken above this blue line. Still hasn't broken above the orange line. Usually on this stochastic RSI, on a move like this, or prior to this anyway, I'll be expecting something like, you know, a M formation like this one that we had here at the beginning of the bull run, or something like this here that we had towards the end of the bull run in the last cycle. You know, it's pretty interesting to see, right? Look at this, crazy. But keep in mind that we did have a rejection. You know, we did have a rejection, and it was a bearish engulfing as well. How many percent was this? This was a 24% drop. Isn't that interesting? For something that still ended up being a bull run, we got a 24% drop. So imagine if we were to get a 24% drop on this. Right now we are already down by 6%. A 24% drop will be taking us close to 86k. That is crazy. A lot of people who got in late into the market will be in unrealized losses at that point, and you know, you never can tell if it's going to recover. And the crazy thing about that is that Bitcoin dropping by 24% from here is really, really bad, in my opinion. Look at this. If we drop to this place here, in my opinion, I think it's over. I think the bull run would have ended. Any significant drop below this trend line is a game changer for me, because if that happens, we will be in a situation whereby we will need to battle with this neckline. Which brings me to what I want to talk about on this chart actually. Now, I've just talked about the bearish engulfing. That's something to keep in mind, but let's also look at this chart formation. Right now, if a bearish engulfing is actually forming here, right, it's very, very possible that it could lead to an M formation at the end. So we have this move here. We have a formation looking like this. This is the first M, and this is the second leg of the M. And you know, if it's an M formation, this is what it will look like. And this area here would be the neckline region, right? So this neckline region, it basically acts as a confirmation. So imagine that prices had to come here first to confirm, right? Prices, us waiting to find out if this is, or sorry, me waiting to find out if this is an M formation, it's going to be crazy, because this is literally how many percent? This is 26%. We are going to have to see Bitcoin drop by 26% in order to find out if this is truly an M formation. I don't know. I don't think I'm interested in that. We are basically going to be dropping back to 77k at the point where I was talking about buying. You know, so if I have to wait for that, literally I won't have made any money in this market. So what's the point? And keep in mind that we actually have a trend line in this area. Once we break that place, look at this. This is the trend line that has been maintained for the entire bull run. Look, from 2022 up until now. So if we break below here, it's a huge problem, because we never ever broke below it since 2022. That's about 3 years now. You know, we never broke below it. So what makes you think breaking below it would be a great thing and to be a good buying opportunity? Absolutely not. It's going to be the end of the entire bull run, in my opinion, anyway. And something like this would be very bad because we would then have a situation like this, right, where we could bounce up a little bit and then, drop further to sweep, probably sweep this low, which is at 55K. Probably sweep that low and go all the way down to 30 or something crazy like that, because it's a bear market. Something like that could happen, or maybe we will just end up going back to find support right at where institutions bought in, which is BlackRock, around 48K. This was literally BlackRock's entry. So imagine prices having to go back down here, as a support level. This is a price action that is very possible, and this is where I will sell everything to buy Bitcoin at this point. But saying you should buy Bitcoin right now at this point, I don't know, is going to be crazy. But I'm going to trade it though. I'm going to trade this entire move. I'm definitely going to trade everything. As a matter of fact, right now I'm in a short position on Bitcoin. If you want to see any of the short position, if you want to see any of the trades that I'm taking, then you should definitely join my private group. Access fee is just $3 per month. But yeah, I think this is interesting to see. Well, the bullish case for this now, the bullish case would be exactly what I talked about in my last video, which would be that, see how we were able to react in this place to this price action. I was actually comparing what is going on right now to this move that we had during BlackRock's purchase, right? This move here, this is what I was comparing this move to. And there's a fundamental difference between these two scenarios, being that here was when we had BlackRock come into the market, and here is where we have a war going on. These are two completely different scenarios. I'm not saying the war is going to be the black swan event or the catalyst that will send prices down. I'm just telling you that there is a fundamental difference. The environment is different, so that's actually something worth paying attention to. And if that's the case, then it means that what happened here may not necessarily be what will happen here. You know how we're able to consolidate for a bit here and then continue in the bullish run. We may not have that here, so we don't know yet what's going to happen. But to be honest, I'm kind of leaning towards the downside, and I actually sold a majority of my crypto, and I'll probably not be buying the dip, but I'm going to trade it for sure. Definitely going to trade. So these are the various things that I'm just thinking about this market, and I'm just waiting to see how it plays out. But this is the 1 week time frame though. Let's go to something like the 1 day time frame. Let's see what's happening on the 1 day time frame. So on the 1 day time frame, we have a situation as well. We still have enough momentum to go downwards. We don't know if this is going to continue, but we do have various levels to watch out for, which would be this here. We have a support level in this area here, and then we have a resistance level here, right? So these are the two levels that we need to watch out for in order to decide whether we are bullish or bearish, price action wise. We have the major resistance here at 111K, and then we have a major support level here at 101K. So a break below either of these levels would determine a lot for Bitcoin. I think right now we are just getting a little bit of a choppy price action. We do have a peak here, and we do have another attempted peak here, or a peak anyway. So this is going to be like a neckline kind of thing, where we'll be having another information here. Now, if this turns out to be an information and we eventually sweep below this 101K, that would be my first confirmation that we are likely going to drop more significantly. And the reason for that is we have all of this liquidity in this area to sweep out all of this it will be something pretty interesting to see. But as for the 1 day time frame, let's go to the 4 hour time frame. Now on the 4 hour time frame, we do have momentum building a little bit to the upside here. Look at this here on the stochastic RSI, and then on the MACD as well. We are looking like we're about to flip, so that's interesting for the short term. The thing about this move though is that it may not really play out completely, or we could eventually end up building a rising wedge, which would which is kind of bearish. We could have a rising wedge that will be building to maybe this supply area or this supply area, either of that. So we're going to have to wait and see how that plays out. But I'm in a short position right now. I'm in a little bit of a short position, which if it fails I will definitely be attempting again at these areas here. But if we go to something like the 1 hour time frame, we could have a situation building like this, whereby we are forming a rising wedge, just like I said, right? Whereby we'll have price action play out like this, and then break below it, and then continue downwards to further, something like this. Basically, I think something like this can definitely play out properly. However, this is price projection, and it's not something that I really like to do until I see it happen. So, but this is just what I'm thinking for Bitcoin. We're going to have to see how that plays out eventually, but yeah, I'm not really all that bullish. So that is all I have for today, guys. If this is something that you enjoyed, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe, share, and do all that nice stuff. I will see you in the next video. Bye.